Okay, so I'm going to show you how easy you can loop your HDRI in Blender. So with regular images, they obviously consist of different sides, and they're almost always different from one of the sides to the other one. But an HDRI is wrapped around all over the 3D space, and that just makes them way easier to loop. So let's open up this second Blender file here. So what I did here is pretty much nothing. I just opened up the shader editor and changed this from object into the world, and then I brought in an environment texture node, and this node here is the node that you are going to use when you are playing around with an HDRI. So from here you can just click open and then locate your HDRI and then just connect it into the background like that. So the first thing we need to do is to get some control over this camera point of view in relation to this 3D world. So let's just click onto our HDRI, and by the way, I will leave a link in the description to this one, so if you want to use the exact same one, you can just click on the link and you will get that for free. So just click on the HDRI and then go Control plus T, so just Control and T. Control and T will bring in this texture coordinate and this mapping node. And if you don't have this add-on here, just go Edit, Preferences, and Add-ons, and type in Node Wrangler and check this box here, and also check the box for autosave. So now what we can do is move down to the rotation here, and then we can just play around with the camera angle like this. So I want this camera angle to be pointed up into the sky, so I'm just going to bring it up on the axis here to somewhere around here. It's fine. And now we are going to make this go in spin of 360 degrees in a perfect seamless loop. So the first thing we need to decide is for how many frames in the timeline we are going to use. So I will recommend you to use a bit of frames, because that will just make the animation better, in my opinion, because it will just move more smoothly. If you bring down the frame number here, the animation would move faster. But for now, we're just going to stick with this 1000 frames. And to make this loop, we need to start off at frame 0. So make sure that this blue line here in the timeline is set to frame 0. The reason for that is because if you set it to 1, it will create a tiny little hiccup in the animation. So set it to 0 like that. Now we can go down to the rotation onto this mapping node here, and then we can just check how this will look if we loop it. Yeah, so that looks good. And we can also probably loop it like this, but then we will get some of the world, so that is not optimal for this animation here. So let's just go and loop this C rotation. So to do that, just hover your mouse over the mapping and then just go I for insert like that. And now you can see that we have some keyframes here at the frame 0. And then we can jump all the way to the last frame in the timeline, and we can type in onto the C here 360, and then just go enter and then go I for insert. So enter and I for insert. And we also want to make sure that we have a nice and even speed for our animation. So just go and hover your mouse over the timeline and go A. So we have all of these keyframes selected, and right click onto the timeline, go into interpolation mode. Here you can play around with some different speed styles, if you will, but we're just going to set this to linear and make it in a nice even speed. So now if I were to play this, we'll go all the way to the end. So you can see that this moves in a perfect loop like that. So yeah, I think that is it. If you can like and subscribe, that would be great. And I'm going to show you one last thing. So let me show you one little last thing, just to make your HDRI look a bit crispier or brighter or more, how you say it, with more detail. So if you go Shift A here and then just search for an RGB curve node, and then just drop it in between the background and the environment texture node, we can see that this C here is the relevant one because this is blue, and the C is for contrast, the R is for red, and the G is for green, and B for blue. So we're going to use the contrast here, and if you just click onto this node here, we can just drag this in and control the light value. And if you combine that with playing around with the strength of the background, you will create a more crispy looking image or a more detailed looking image. What you also can do is go into the render properties here and then just go down to color management and play around with these different styles. So this one here will give a brighter look, and this HX is pretty good, and also play around with the exposure and gamma. So this is just some fine tuning of this HDRI, if you will. So that is all. Peace out and have a great day.